Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel where I will be crocheting it forward in this video by showing you my mile a minute pattern. This is perfect for an Afghan. I suppose you can make a vest for it. I'm working on a project right now that has different shades of brown in it. This one right here, and then I'm also working on another project that has rainbow. They're going to have, and this rainbow one is just scrap yarn. This is a perfect project too as well if you have lots of scrap yarn. So let's just get started. First thing we're going to need is your crochet hook. This, you can work it up in whatever crochet hook size you want. I am using a 6.5 millimeter letter K. You'll need some scissors and you will need a sewing needle to sew in your ends. So my last color is going to be a hot pink, and this is going to be the basics for any mile a minute Afghan that you work. So what we're going to do is start with a slip knot, okay, and you want to chain 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And in the fourth chain from your hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, you'll want to make 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. We're going to chain 2, and in that same stitch, we're going to make 3 more double crochets. If you're familiar with the granny square, this is like your corner cluster, which is what I'm going to refer to it as. Because with your granny squares, you have 3 double crochets, you chain 2, and then another 3 double crochets. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is slip stitch to our very first chain. Okay, and at this point, we want to turn this upside down so you have your point at the bottom. Okay, the reason we do this is so that it will match the top of our strip when we get there. But so in review, this looks like we have 4 double crochets, a chain 2, and 4 double crochets. That is what we're going to do for our very last row. Okay, so from here, this is the repeat. We will chain 2 and then go into this space right here and make another corner cluster. Again, which is 3 double crochets. Oops. A chain 2 and 3 double crochets. And this pattern works upward. It works up very, very fast. I'm thinking that that's why they call it the mile a minute, depending on how fast you crochet. But like I said, this is totally awesome for beginners. Okay, the next thing you want to do, these 2 rows are the only ones that are different, is we're going to double crochet in our 3rd chain. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3 right here where my nail is, and you want to be sure you're going through both loops. Oh, wait a minute. 1, 2, 3. No, I didn't yarn over it. Found the loop. Okay, so then it looks like a diamond. Okay, so then we're just gonna go upward. Okay, and we're just gonna just repeat this part right here. Chain 2, turn your work, and then right here, right in the center, is where you're always going to do your corner cluster. 3 double crochets. Chain 2, 3 double crochets. And then in our 3rd stitch, 1, 2, 3, right here, we're going to double crochet. And that's the repeat. I mean, how much simpler can that get? So we're going to chain 2, turn our work, and then just repeat what we just did. Another corner cluster right there in the center, 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. And then double crochet in your third stitch. Oops. Okay, chain 2, turn your work, repeat. 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. And then we are going to double crochet in that third stitch, which is technically the top of the third double crochet of the previous row. One more time, chain 2, turn your work, 3 double crochets in your center, chain 2, 3 double crochets in that same space, which is the chain 2 space. It's just not the chain 2 space in the very beginning of this pattern. It's actually just the chain space. So there you have it. Now you can make these strips as long as you want. On this one I did 50, but I doubled up the yarn. Okay, this is going to be a gift for my best friend. She just moved into her new apartment, and I'm making her a housewarming gift. And these, with my scrap yarn, I just did 30 of these. Now this is all Red Heart yarn, both of these, Super Saver, and I will give you a heads up if you don't already know that some of the colors on Red Heart seem to be thicker because these all didn't turn out the same size. Like for instance, they each have 30, but look at the difference in that. So I'm gonna have to be stretching some of these out, and hopefully it doesn't look too bad. But yeah, go ahead and do finish up your one strip, and then I will come back and show you how to make the border row and then how to connect your strips. Okay, so we have our 29 corner clusters here done for our mile a minute strip. And I just want to say something. This is I have to correct myself. This is the basics for my pattern for mile a minute. And now there are other granny square mile a minute patterns, but this is going to be the basics for mine. So anyway, so I'm on 29 and I'm going to stop at 30. So remember I said that at the end of the row we have to make each end match. Okay, so this has 4 double crochets, a chain 2, 4 double crochets, so that's how we're going to end up. Okay, so we're still going to do our double crochet in that third chain, or the third stitch. We're still going to chain 2, and we're just going to turn around, and that's all we're doing, is just basically adding another double crochet on each side of the cluster. So that means we're going to do 1, 2, 3, oops, see, I was forgetting already, 3, 4, we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to make another 4 double crochets in that same space. 2, 3, 4. So this is how you'll finish the top of each one of your strips. And again, you can make these strips in any color. You can double up the yarn, make them bigger, use a bigger crochet hook like I did over here. I used a size 10 for this one. It's going to be pretty thick, but I figure with winter around the corner, she'll appreciate that. So go ahead and oh, and I also forgot to mention, always check the information box for more information. Sometimes I have more information or clarification on some flubbers during the video that I say during recording, and also for other links as well. So get your attaching color, and I will meet you right back. Okay guys, so I have my attaching color, which is going to be white. I'm just going to make a slip knot and get my hook on my yarn, and then I'm just going to take, it doesn't matter what end you start with, but I like to start where I started. But I'm going to come over here, and all I'm going to do is make a double crochet in each one of these 4 stitches. I'm going to chain 2. Here, I'll show you. We'll attach on the side right here, and I'm doing like an airborne double crochet. I've already yarned over, and I'm gonna yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. So that's 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 3 double crochet, 4, and then I'm going to chain 2. No, wait a minute. Sorry about that. I am going to make another corner cluster. Get my yarn, chain 2, and then go back into that same space and make 3 double crochets. I forgot that we are still increasing when we do the border. And from here I'm just going to make 4 double crochets in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. And in each one of these spaces right here, you're either going to have a chain 2 or a double crochet, not this little one space right here. You don't want to crochet in here. That's a no-no. We want this one and this one. And all we're going to do is make a cluster of 3 double crochets. And that's what you're going to do all the way to the other end. Is just make a cluster of 3 double crochets. We're going to skip that one little space right here, but in between these 2 clusters, we're going to make our side cluster of 3 double crochets. Okay, skip this little spot right there, but we want these big spaces right here. Okay, and make another cluster. Okay, so do that all the way down, and I will meet you back at the other end and show you how to do that, the top of it. Okay guys, so I'm finishing up my first side. Okay, putting 3 double crochets in each of these big spaces on your side, and I'm at my almost last. So again, we're just continuing on working up our side with 3 double crochets. Okay, and this is going to be our very last big space. Okay, and then we are going to make 1 double crochet in the next 4, the top of the next 4 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3. Oh man, okay, let me rewind here. There's a stitch that's going to be a little bit hiding over here, that stitch. So that's going to be our first double crochet in our set of 4. I am so sorry about that. 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then we're going to make a cluster of 3 double crochets, another corner cluster. We're just doing the exact same thing that we did at the very beginning. So each end will be the same, will be identical. And then chain 2 and make another 3 double crochets, and then chain a double crochet in the next 4. Okay, and remember this one, the one that I missed, don't miss that. Don't do what I did. There's always going to be that one stitch that's hiding. So we make 4 double crochets in each of the next 4 stitches. Okay, and this should bring you back to where you are at the beginning. Okay, and you just move your tail out the way, and then we're just repeating the same thing. Here we are in the big spaces right here. We're just going to make a cluster of 3 double crochets, side cluster. Skip that little tiny one. Look at these big ones, the big spaces. 1. This yarn is super slippery today, or maybe it's my hook, or maybe it's the crocheter. You never know. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish, and then I'll show you how we join, and then how we also attach your strips. So basically what we're doing is making a bunch of strips, as opposed to your granny square where you make a bunch of squares and then you attach them. We're just doing strips. That's the whole concept of the mile a minute. So I'm going to finish this up and I will meet you back. Okay, moving on. I am doing my last set of cluster in my starting chain where I joined right here. You'll know because it doesn't look looks a little messy, that one little side, and I'm just gonna make my final side cluster in there of 3 double crochets. Okay, and then now I'm going to slip stitch to the top of the very first double crochet. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to cut my yarn. Okay, secure that, and now we have our first strip. Let me see how everything, the top or the bottom matches the top. And I guess it doesn't matter which end is the top or the bottom. So the next thing we're going to do is grab our attaching strip. Now I'm going to go backwards on the rainbow and grab this this indigo color and get a slip knot. Okay, try to move this around. Now what I like to do is, you know, we're only going to be attaching on one side at a time. Okay, so we have right here our our stitches right here, and then we're only going to be attaching right here. So I'm going to start this part right here. Okay, but I have to do something real quick. Okay guys, I'm back. I'm sorry about that, but I just had to go back and correct. I had missed a couple of these side clusters, so I went back and corrected those. And just be sure that you're not skipping anything. It's so easy to do. It really is. Especially this white. Again, this is Red Heart Super Saver. This white is thicker than the pink, but the blue is the same thickness as the white, so I don't think I'll be having any issues attaching to that. So moving on to our second strip, and how do we attach all of our strips. You just want to grab it and you want to work from your right to your left. So we're going to be going that way. And what I like to do is just attach over here. You can actually get one whole side done if you wanted to, but because we're only going to be attaching to the top side the way that we work this pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and do my little airborne double crochet here in this stitch, and that's just yarning over, and then I have my index finger hanging on to both of these, and then I go into my space, pull up a loop. I'm still hanging on to them too with my index finger, and it just keeps them still. Okay, that leaves your tail up on top, and then when I come back I can just slip stitch to the top of that double crochet. Might take a little bit of practice if you're not used to doing that. So again, we're just going to do a side cluster in that either chain 2 or double crochet side space right here, and then one more. And then we're going to do the 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochets in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in our chain 2 space we're going to do another corner cluster of 3 double crochets, chain 2, whoops, and then 3 double crochets. Grab some more yarn. Two, 3, and then I'm looking to see where I need to go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Remember that first double crochet in the set of 4s on your ends might be hiding. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is where our join is, so that might be a little tedious stitch there. Excuse my dog in the background. She's looking out the patio window and probably sees a squirrel. So now it's time to attach. And all we're doing is the join as you go stitch, which I have in some of my videos. Hang on a second. Alright, sorry about that. Had to lock my dog up in the room. She was going off on some squirrels. Okay, so what we're going to do is match these clusters to the new clusters. This is going to be our working strip, and that's going to be the attaching strip. So that's what I'm going to refer to it. So for our first cluster, let's see, you're going to go past your 4 double crochets right here. Okay, we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to go in that space after your 4 clusters. Okay, slip stitch, chain another one, and then come back to your working square, and here you are in this space to make your 3 double crochets. Whoops. Okay, we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to go back to our attaching square, or attaching square. We're going to go in these spaces in between your clusters. We're going to go in there, grab our yarn, slip stitch, chain 1 again, and then come back to your working square and make your 3 double crochets. Now if this is your first time doing your join as you go, it might be a little tedious. It just takes a little practice, and then you become a pro. So again, we're going to chain 1, go to our attaching square, go in between here, pull in stick in your hook in between that space, in between the clusters, pull up your yarn for a slip stitch, chain 1 again, and then come back to your working strip, and then make 3 double crochets. Chain 1, go to your next space in between your clusters, make a slip stitch. You're going in the front, not the back. Make another chain, and then come back to your working strip in the next space and make 3 double crochets. This red heart yarn is being very challenging today. So then I want to show you how it kind of comes together. So you see how when you start the clusters, they're going to start matching right across from each other. So go ahead and do that all the way down, and I'll show you how, and I'll come back and I'll show you how to do the corner, or the top, I'm sorry. Okay guys, so I'm in my last cluster on my working square, so I'm just going to finish that. And that's 3 double crochets. Okay, and then now we're going to move on to our 4 double crochets, just like we did at the start of this strip. So that's going to be 1, 2, don't tell me, oh no I didn't, I was going to say don't tell me I skipped that hidden one again. I did not. So we have 4, and then we're going to go ahead and do a corner cluster of 3 double crochets, a chain 2, and then 3 double crochets, scoot back a little bit, maybe you can see it better, and then do our 4 double crochets, and then this other side is always just going to be by itself because we're only attaching one side at a time. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and now I'm just going to finish up this side with my side clusters in these chain 2 or double crochet spaces, because remember we were alternating those when we turned our work. And then I will meet you at the end of this row. Okay, so now we're at the end of the second strip, and I just wanted to show you how it came together. I'm just finishing up my last side cluster of 3 double crochets. And now I can just slip stitch to the top of the very first double crochet. A little airborne, I like to call it an airborne double crochet. But you can do a chain 3 if you can't do that. Grab my scissors, cut our yarn, secure, and there you have it. Now you kind of can see where the blue strip, or the indigo, the dark blue strip, is a little thicker. Maybe it's not so obvious on camera, but and it's still the same Red Heart yarn. I don't know why it does that, but it does. But the white is bringing it together. I will be finishing up my mile a minute with just a row of single crochet, and I'll likely put some tassels or fringes on these ends. That's going to be super cute. So yep, that's it. That's my mile a minute pattern for an Afghan, and I appreciate everybody's patience. I hope you liked the video. Please share, comment, or subscribe. I'd love to hear from you, and as always, together let's continue to crochet it forward. Bye now.